So, as we know, Danny Ainge blew up the Utah Jazz's roster in 2022 and ended up garnering a lot of draft capital and bringing in a lot of younger talent. With that overall being the understanding of the situation, they ended up going into tank mode and putting together some interesting lineups that this season saw them being as high as a play-in caliber team that went on a very significant run of winning games. But after the trade deadline didn't go as planned and there was no way of them bringing in a new star player, they decided to become sellers and shipped out Kelly Olynyk, Ochai Agbaji, and Simone Fontecchio. Today, we're going to go ahead and take a little bit of a view at the past pieces, excluding those three, that have made an impact on their new teams. Thanks for tuning in this video. It's your boy Wraith Hoops. Make sure to like that video, subscribe, and turn on post notifications and become a member to help support the content. Let's go ahead and get into this one. In an article written by Doug Robinson, who is a writer for Deseret.com, he had a list of different pieces that I found to be very interesting, and he did a very well job summarizing exactly what all went into the situations and how they're doing. So instead of going ahead and just summarizing what he said, it's much easier for us to just go ahead and go through and read it verbatim and then break it down piece by piece. Now he starts with Rudy Gobert, who's currently on the Timberwolves. He says the Wolves went all in on Gobert when they acquired him from the Jazz, giving up 5 players, 4 first-round draft picks, and a first-round swap, not to mention taking on a guaranteed 5-year, $205 million contract extension he had signed with the Jazz before the 2020-2021 season, which was the third biggest in NBA history. The 3-time NBA Defensive Player of the Year is averaging 13.7 points and team leading 12.7 rebounds per game to help his team climb to first place in the Western Conference. In the NBA's advanced metrics standings, he's ranked 6th in defensive rating, 8th in effective field goal percentage, and 9th in true shooting percentage, as well as 5th in rebound percentage. Now, obviously, he adds on a little part saying that it's not as if the Jazz could use any help in these areas, and obviously that's sarcasm considering that they are 29th in rebounding. He then moves on to Donovan Mitchell, who's currently on the Cavaliers, saying that he's averaging a career high 28.1 points per game, ranks 4th in the NBA with that mark. He also leads the team in assists with 6.2, steals in 1.9, and minutes played with 35.5, while also being 3rd in rebounding with 5.4 for the Cavaliers, who are the 2nd place team in the Eastern Conference. According to advanced metrics, he ranks among the top 10 in player impact estimate, defensive rating, net rating, usage percentage, advanced metrics, as well as 3rd in assist ratio and 2nd in assist to turnover rating. He then details the Jazz were going to build the team around Mitchell when they made him the 13th overall pick in 2017, but that lasted only 5.5 seasons. He's pretty much doing for the Cavs what he did for the Jazz, but with a new address, which is very fair to say because you find yourself in a situation where Donovan Mitchell does a lot of things well, but he requires the proper supporting cast in order to maximize his talent and put himself in a situation that allows him to be the best version of himself humanly possible. And I believe that the Cavaliers are doing a very good job of that, hence why they are currently sitting at 2nd place in the Eastern Conference. Moving forward, he brings up Mike Conley, who's currently on the Timberwolves as well. He says he's another Jazz castoff who landed on his feet with the front-running Timberwolves at 36 now in his 17th season. He reportedly has been offered a 2-year contract extension that will take him through the 2025-2026 season. In his first full season with the Wolves, he started 53 games and averages 28.7 minutes, 10.7 points, and a team-high 6.2 assists per game. Mike Conley is sorely missed by the Utah Jazz because, understandably so, he was a guy that was capable of scoring the rock decently, but also more than that was a very solid table setter and really got the most out of a lot of players, especially in the latter half of the season, especially when they really needed him to go ahead and initiate offense. When you think about different worlds where Mike Conley is just a very serviceable guy who's low ego, low cost, and just fun to be around in a very big culture piece, regardless of what roster he's on. The biggest equivalent to this that the Jazz currently have on the roster is Chris Dunn, and while he doesn't have the exact same scoring sense, his ability to play make and also be a very stout defender is very remarkable in and of its own self. He says Bojan Bogdanovic from the Knicks, after 2 years with the Pistons in which he averaged 21.2 points per game, he escaped a sinking ship when he was traded to the playoff contending Knicks this winter. Bogdanovic has logged 13 professional seasons, 10 of them being in the NBA where he's averaged 15.8 points. And understanding that he's going to turn 35 soon as well, he might have just a few more years left. That said, with the Pistons, he did average 21.2 points per game, so he was a big captain on that sinking ship. And with the Knicks, I believe while he might have a lessened role, he will ultimately have the opportunity to lengthen out his career just a little bit, because not very much will be demanded of him, considering the fact that he won't be one of the big three on that roster, and instead he'll have the opportunity to take that back seat and just help smooth things out really and provide a consistent scoring punch. With Royce O'Neal currently on the Suns, a few weeks ago, the Nets traded O'Neal to the Suns, who are 6th in the Western Conference standings. He's played 55 games this season, averaging 24.6 minutes, 7.6 points, and 4.7 rebounds. The Suns' victory over the Lakers, he logged 37 minutes, hitting 6 3-pointers and grabbing 9 rebounds. Overall, Royce O'Neal has been a solid forward, regardless of the situation that he's been in. I don't want to say that the Utah Jazz miss him the most out of everybody that they've sent away, because they don't, but he has been very serviceable for the teams that he's been on since. Lastly, you have the forward guard Joe Ingles, who currently plays for the Magic. Now in his 10th year, the 36-year-old is playing for his third team in 3 seasons, averaging 6.9 points and 22.7 minutes per game for the Bucks last season. He's currently scoring 4.8 points for the Magic this season and playing about 17 minutes a game. The Magic sit at 8th in the Eastern Conference standings, and the 8 years Ingles played for Utah were easily the best of his career. Understandably so, Joe Ingles has always been a reliable, tall guard forward kind of hybrid that had the ability to play great defense against even the quickest guards in the league, and also the length to play in certain passing lanes and put himself in his correct positions on the defensive side of the ball. He's also had a knack for scoring the rock with very uncanny success, and ultimately put himself in a lot of situations to be a very surprisingly versatile and usable player across many years of his career, most of them obviously being with, you guessed it, the Utah Jazz. Still servicing other teams now to this day, currently being on the Magic, and while obviously the roster is much younger and he's not necessarily a key cog in the machine, he still is a very big leadership role player and also still plays some pretty solid defense considering his age of 36. Now, all in all, that is the entirety of the 2022 blow up that occurred. If you want to go ahead and look at some other past players, you can look at Grayson Allen, who sports the highest 3-point field goal percentage in the league by a very large margin at 48.6%, playing for his third team in 5 years since leaving Utah and averaging 13 points for the Suns. Alec Burks, who was traded from the Pistons to the Knicks alongside Bogdanovich, is playing for his 7th team in 13 years. Some of those teams obviously being more than once, with a career average of 10.9 points per game. Lastly, that moves you on to this year's trades that sent Fontecchio, Kelly Olynyk, and Ochai Agbaji elsewhere, and you have almost an entire roster of players that no longer play for them that have been sent out to better situations for themselves, some that have become more successful than others, but ultimately all that seem to be etching out their name in stone for their respective organizations. Let me know what you think about these pieces. Let me know if you would have preferred to have still had some of these pieces on this roster, or if you would welcome the return of others as well. My name is Wraith Hoops. Thanks for tuning in this video. Make sure to like the video, subscribe, and turn on post notifications, as well as become a member of the channel to help support the content. With that being said, thanks for tuning in this one. As always, good morning, good evening, and good night, no matter where you are on the globe watching. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.